good morning. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us for another edition of the Morning Breeze, man. Always rocking with you guys, as always, man. Outside of me, I got my guy, Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, in the building.
Oh, had to pull up your brassiere there? What was that? Right before we started. Let me clutch at the pearls. What's good, y'all? It's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love to another edition of the Morning Breeze. As always, joined by Jordan JC.
Yo.
On today's episode, got to talk about what Courtney Cronin believes a trade up would cost. Talked with her about this on the Chicago Bears podcast yesterday. She is not in the market that it's going to be cheap.
Oh,
gonna be interesting to see. Field Yates' latest mock sucks.
Oh.
Getting sick of these ESPN mock drafts. As somebody who works for ESPN, just ask one of us. Nobody's doing this. Or if they are, I'm going to be very upset. And the Chicago Bulls find a way to clinch a play-in spot. Oh, my goodness. Confetti falling from the ceiling. Here we go. Championship or bust. We're going to get clapped in 5.
Oh, clapped in 5.
Oh, God. The date is 4/2/2025. It's 7:05 in the morning. And Jordan JC, I got to tell you.
Oh, boy, what is it?
Being an adult sucks.
That's true.
I mean, months are flying by, dog.
Yeah.
I mean, we are losing time quickly.
Yeah.
The other day I was like, I'm 27. Years. Oh, no, I'm 30. This is horrible.
Yep. These are the twilight years.
Twilight? I'm dying?
These are the golden years. The golden years.
Why do I gotta die, Jordan JC? Nobody told me. Actually, everyone told me. Enjoy your youth. Remember, always enjoy your youth. Remember the fun times. Enjoy your youth. Shut up, you. Why is youth wasted on the young? That sounds old as heck this morning. I literally
see?
Like, it was literally one of those, like, I woke up this morning. First off, I don't know if you got that thunderstorm down by you.
Oh, absolutely.
It shook the house this morning. Yeah. I wasn't terrified, but I was scared.
I woke up. That's what made me wake up. Good Lord.
But literally, I was just like, oh, yeah, well, baby, we almost at April. And then I was like, oh, wait, we are at April because my daughter woke up. I'm like, we are at April. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, we're 4 months into 2025 already. We're a quarter of the way to 2026 already.
Hey, man.
My knees hurt.
My knees hurt.
My knees hurt. I don't like it. Hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in to show love as always. Need y'all go ahead and do me a favor and
come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Right now, we got 50 people watching in this mug right away. I need 50 likes on the video. Let's get it up to 50 likes. We got 60 people watching right away. I need 60 likes on the video. Okay, 60 likes right now on the video. Stop playing with us. Also want to let you guys know, just in case, because sometimes YouTube gets weird in this time of year where it just stops recommending our videos to our subscribers and things like that. I think it does it to everybody in some sense. But for that reason, we have the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, I'm going to drop the link into the description here. We always have good conversations in the Discord. Last night, everybody was in there talking about the freaking, I don't know if you watched this game, Jordan JC. You're a late a guy who stays up late, but that Minnesota game last night was, bro, it's one of the best basketball games I've seen in my life.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Oh, my God, dog. You missed.
It rivaled.
Like, it was legitimately
Did it rival the Bulls-Lakers game?
That's a big A spider that decided to just drop down right there.
Yeah, one of our fans.
Yeah, one of our fans. It's legitimately. Oh, he's climbing back up now. He's building a web as we speak. I don't like this. I gotta take care of that.
It's thundering outside.
He's going down. Oh, yeah, he's going up.
Mind if I move in?
it was a top 10 basketball game that I've seen in my life.
Wow. That good.
I'm not going to go top 5. But a top 10 basketball game that I've ever seen in my life. It was amazing. It was an old school, we going back and forth. Ant was shooting threes, cashing out. Jokic had like 700 points. Julius Randle was just getting cooked on a regular. It was
as usual, per the usual.
A 60-point triple double and a loss.
I'm sorry, what?
And my boy lost the game because, again, you got to go watch this game. I lost the game because, and I feel bad because he's my guy.
I'm gonna check the highlights up.
But they get a steal.
Yeah.
Russ gets the steal, driving down, passes the ball. They pass it back to Russ, goes for a layup, smokes it. Get the ball. Minnesota gets the ball back, kicks the ball up, passing it around, throws it out to the corner, pull up 3. Nickeil Alexander-Walker smokes the 3, and Russ fouls him. No time left on the clock.
Russ fouls him while he shoots the 3. Come on, Russ.
It's the sell of a century. It was tough. It was tough to watch as a Russ fan. But hey, man, we're here to talk football. We're here to talk. Talk some Bears. We are going to talk some basketball with the Chicago Bulls later on in the show. But appreciate y'all for tuning in. The show and love as always, man. I watched that game yesterday. I was just like, oh boy, basketball is back. I love it.
Nice.
I love all the people. Stephen is like, listen, I'm a Russ guy. He said can't call that foul. Listen, his whole hand on his chest. You got to call that foul.
Yeah, if it's blatantly obvious, the ref's got to do the job.
Russ is closing out. It's like a whole hand on his chest. Just like,
if it's too obvious, yeah,
I was like,
Russ ignores small thing.
Yeah, he palmed his chest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's start it off here though, because on the Chicago Bears podcast yesterday, got a chance to talk with Courtney Cronin as we always do on a Tuesday, and she was down at the owners' meetings, and we talked about the scenario that we brought up the other day, where the trade-up scenario, right, that Chris Emmer brought up from 670 to score, and why it may make sense for the Bears if it was going to be a cheap trade-up, right? Listen, if you're telling me I could trade my first-round pick and my third-round pick for this year, and I can go get Abdul Carter, I'm in. Let's do it. Best defensive player in football in the draft. Yeah, he's the new Michael Parsons. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, this is easy. This is no brainer. Courtney does not subscribe to that though. What she said in the episode, and go check out the full episode. Courtney always dropping some great nuggets in the episode. What she said in the episode was basically that, listen, you're still giving up quarterback level draft capital to move up to one of those spots, because if Abdul Carter is there, why would a team just want to give him away to you? You still would have to include probably a future first round pick in a scenario where maybe Abdul, hey bro, he got to die. Where maybe Abdul Carter falls. Because he keeps just, I'm not scared of Spider, but he keeps just like, hey, how you doing? I'm back up. You would still have to give up a future first round pick in a scenario where if Abdul Carter does fall to 4, to 5, which 4 was the scenario where the Bears were going to trade up with the Patriots, that you're going out there to give up top level draft capital. But, and this is where I say this, right? And I think it is a lot tougher to have that conversation. But again, like I said, the goal is to not be here again. The goal is to not be at the top of the draft again. If I told you for a future first, for a third this year, and your first this year, you can move up to 4, is that a deal that you would want to see the Chicago Bears make? If, and this is the only scenario where I'm going, because I'm not doing it for Mason Graham. I'm not doing it for Ashton Genty. I'm not doing it for Ted McMillan. I'm not doing it for like any of the other people that are up there in that top 10. But if Abdul Carter is there at 4, feeling like he's going to be Micah Parsons 2.0, do you make that move?
I'd still do it in a heartbeat.
Oh,
I'd still do it in a heartbeat. I know that sounds
that capital.
Yeah. I'm going full P kid. I mean, bump these picks.
Hey, we need all these picks, Jordan. Oh, do you now?
No, you don't. Just follow my
lead.
lead.
Have some draft capital, did you?
No. No, I do not.
Oh, we'll get those arms out of
here. If we're talking about getting and she's right, it would have to be, quarterback level draft capital in a sense to trade for. But think about this: who is usually the quarterback of the defense? What position is usually the quarterback of? Exactly, middle linebacker. Do you think that Abdul Carter can kind of be that not middle linebacker in a sense, but be that linebacker, that defensive end who can kind of like scan the entire field, be a guy who can kind of be versatile and cover multiple positions?
Be Micah Parsons.
Yes, exactly.
That I do wonder at this level. I don't know if he is that guy.
Yeah, see,
I don't know if he is that guy. I think he can do it. I shouldn't say that. He can't do it at Micah's level, in my mind.
Yeah. I
think pass rush wise, he can be the Micah Parsons pass rusher type of player that gets to the quarterback, not dominates down there, right? 16 sacks a season. You love that. I think the other things, right? The coverage spots where maybe Dennis Allen could use him in that scenario. I think that the playing back off of the line. Those are the moments where you realize he's not Micah Parsons.
But I think for me, this is where I take a chance, because outside of him, who is a better blue chip prospect? Travis Hunter, as I said before on the Daily Show the other day, is probably the closest because of his versatility and being able to play both sides of the field, defense and offense, and him not knowing exactly what position he'll play. But outside of that, Abdul Carter is a complete monster and someone who will be a special piece no matter where you put him in. We talked about, what scheme would he fit in? No, he's a football player.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what scheme you put him. You make him fit because of his talent.
Yeah, that is my favorite part when people are like, he doesn't fit the scheme. I'm like, It's what I love about what Dennis Allen said, though. He doesn't fit the scheme. If a player is talented enough, we will fit the scheme to him.
Exactly.
I love that Dennis Allen said that. We will work with that level of player.
Yeah, you adapt to the player. The player shouldn't have to adapt to something. You don't become closed-minded when you have talent like that. And so if we have a chance to go up to 4, which is what we talked about before, and we have to give up 10 and next year's first, I'm fine with that, because that means we're still – I guess essentially keeping our second round picks. We're not touching anything this year outside of the first.
Yeah.
And that would be fine with me. You giving up 2 firsts for a potential star. And again, this is probably what I'm okay with it, because there are lesser and lesser holes to fill. Our holes are not as gaping as they used to be since this past offseason. And so that's why I'm a little bit more confident in being able to give up draft capital going into next year, is because we're almost a complete team. And when you get a guy like I was about to say Micah Parsons, when you get a guy like Abdul Carter, Micah Parsons 2.0, then that will kind of catapult your squad into a different atmosphere, in my opinion, on defense. And so I'm all for that. Courtney thinks that it'll cost a little bit more. It'll cost big. I'm willing to go. I'm willing to go big. I'm willing to go big.
Now, here's the thing, right? Courtney's saying that the one thing I do, I go to over the cap, and I know that this is probably not the exact way that the NFL is going to look at it perfectly, right? I'm not sitting here saying that, but they do have their draft value on there right now. They have the 4th round pick in the draft worth 2,200 points, 2,297. Essentially, what Chris Emma is saying is not wrong. The 10th overall pick is worth 1,833. You could get away with giving up the 41st pick, which gets you there. You could, based off of what he's saying, give up what is the Bears pick? 72?
72. Yeah.
72. And that draft value number-wise would play out. In fact, you're giving more value to move up to that draft pick for the Chicago Bears just based off of the draft trade value chart. I don't know if that's how NFL teams are going to look at this, though. I don't know if this is just a year where they're going to go, it's not that important for us to get future draft capital, especially a team like the Patriots. Now, if you can get it, again, we've seen Ryan Poles pull some stuff off here. And I think that maybe I would be a little bit like, all right, well, if you're giving me Abdul Carter and you're the Patriots at 4, what do you know about Abdul Carter? But this is a different Patriots regime. This ain't the Bill Belichick Patriots where it was like, if he gets rid of him, he's dead. Leave him alone. Like, it's not that team no more. This is a new organization here, new front office. The one thing that I do wonder with the whole situation is what is in fact going to be the trade value that it costs. Because if you're the Patriots, I'm playing hardball. Patriots sit at 4. I need as many picks as possible. I got to build this team up for a minute. This is not a this season buildup. Now, I think that they're trying to get to winning more this season. And so you could talk about possibly going out there and adding more draft capital this year. That does intrigue them. I don't know if I can follow you down the giving up the future first, though.
Come on with me, Ben.
The only reason I say it is this, and listen, I think that if you get the young man in here, if you get an Abdul Carter in here, you're in a much better position. The hope is that we're not a top 10 team next year, that we're probably down in the 20s or 30s, somewhere in that range. And we're in the playoffs and we're one of the top teams in the league. The reality of that happening in one season is probably not there, which means you probably end up with a top 15 to 20 pick. That's still an impactful player heading into next year's draft. I think that's where it gets tough, because while I love what the Bears have built this year, as we head into next season, listen, it is immediate. We're going into next year. You got to start thinking about Joe Thuney's replacement. Like,
there's that. Yeah.
Joe Thuney's older. You're going into next year. You got to start thinking about Grady Jarrett's replacement. Unless you get those guys in this draft, when you're going into next year, you got to start thinking about Kevin Byard's replacement, possibly Jaquan Brisker's replacement. Like, that's the reason for me where, if it's to go get an impact piece and it's going to be cheap this year, fine, let's do it. Maybe if it costs me a first, a third this year, and a third next year, I'd be a little more intrigued there. 2 firsts and a third, though, and that's kind of the conversation on the Capitol that Courtney essentially was talking about there. Basically, you're giving up multiple first-round picks in this situation. That's where, to me, that's a conversation I can't have. And hit that like button if you agree. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I think that Abdul Carter is going to be phenomenal. I think he's going to be a great player. But this is that draft where you can get some really, really good pieces that I keep mentioning and referencing that 2016 draft, right? It was very similar to this. Ronnie Stanley goes later in that draft. Later in that first round. He's an all-pro player. All-pro, not Pro Bowl. We don't do that. But like, when you look at that 2016 draft, there are a litany of pieces.
A slew of pieces.
A slew, if you will, of pieces that are phenomenal players coming out of that draft. Ronnie Stanley goes 6th in that draft. Jalen Ramsey goes 5th in that draft. DeForest Buckner is 7th in that draft. Laramie Tunsil goes 13th in that draft.
Oh, yeah, the drop off.
Taylor Decker goes 16th in that draft. I'd love a Taylor Decker right now. Know who we took that year? Leonard Floyd. Could have had Taylor Decker right now.
Wowie.
Right, Ryan Kelly goes 18th in that draft, right? Like, there are those pieces. Laquan Treadwell. Sorry, I went too far.
No.
Will Fuller goes 21st. Will Fuller had a solid run. You know what I mean? Like, there are those names that you look at in that draft where you go, it wasn't great at the top, but in the second round of that draft, I can get the best defensive interior pass rusher in the NFL and Chris Jones.
There you go.
That's what it feels like here. Like, to me, this is one where if I can get away with going and getting a blue chip piece, I would love to. If not, though, I think that you do have to think about what Ryan Poles said yesterday, from the end of the single digits to the 50s, 60s, and 70s. there's talent in this draft. Like good starter level talent in this draft.
Yeah. Yesterday we talked about bites at the apple. And so if you honestly are going to give up that type of draft capital, or first this year, first next year, and the third, clearly we won't have as many bites at the apple. And so what does that mean? Well, that means you have to make sure your bites count in a sense.
You get the best
for you better get the best bites in this year's draft and next year's draft. And so I'm not necessarily scared off of the idea that, if we were to move up, we get Abdul, and then you talk about realistically some of our veteran pieces or some of the pieces that are, possibly more injured, like a Jaquan Brisker. We'll have to think about replacing those guys very soon. The All-Pro guard Joe Thuney, getting up in age. What do we do with the Grady Jarrett, depending on how he
Italian in that.
Joe Thuney. Yeah, I did say Joe Thuney.
Joe Thuney.
What are you gonna do about it, huh? What are you gonna do? What did Richard Pryor say that one time? He said, "Hey, tell him to add some Struzzi on it." One of Richard Pryor's stand-ups I always remember. It's so funny when he was working at a club. Anyway, back on track. My point is, you take less bites at the apple, you have to make sure that those bites count. And if we were to replace, Kevin Byard or Grady Jarrett, even though we do have some defensive tackles, already here, I feel like you have to make sure, as Ryan posed, that you start hitting on those later draft picks. And because now you have a better development team, around you. You have a better brain trust, as we talked about yesterday, that can help you make better decisions when it comes to these. We got a couple of wise guys in there.
Hey, Joe Thuney, he got the answers.
Golly. And that's where I lean on not having an issue with giving up some of the capital, is because maybe I do trust more of the staff. I trust the decision making from them as a whole. And then of course you still have free agency. You never know who's going to be available next year when it comes to, who's already in the league. And so there's ways around still being able to get this team to being complete year after year. And so that's why I still wouldn't have a problem taking a chance on moving up.
Oh yeah, 100%. Listen, there's a bunch of ways to improve the team. The one thing I will say about, heading into next season, especially with having as much draft capital as possible, as well, is you got to get cheaper. You got to get cheap. You're spending a lot of money coming up. Cheap talent is going to be very valuable to the Chicago Bears moving forward. And the other thing is too, right? Like, you ever notice, like, whenever Kansas City wants somebody, they just go get them? Because we got the answers already.
You got the answers.
If I got the answers, I just go get guys. You know what I mean? Hey, guess what? Guess why I could trade up and go get Xavier Worthy? And I don't know why the Bills keep giving them players. Guess why I can trade up and go get Xavier Worthy? Because I already got Chris Jones. I already got Travis Kelce. I already got Patrick Mahomes. I've already got all of these pieces that are my offensive line. They got ugly in the Super Bowl, but I got just about most of my offensive line there. I'm gonna have to rebuild some. They're a team that I can see trading up this year. They're a team that Gray Zabel's on the board, and you're sitting there at 30 or 31 right now. You're just like, hey, let's go get Gray Zabel.
Yeah.
He's gonna play. He can play left tackle, right tackle. He can play center. He can play guard, both guard positions. Let's go get him. Let's develop that young man. Like, you can take more chances when you're already one of the teams near the top of the mountaintop, because you need less pieces, because you have more of the answers on the field already. I think that's what's going to be very important to the Chicago Bears moving forward. Hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Show love. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Still got a lot to get into. Got to talk about Field Yates' latest mock. I don't know if it's a nice mock. Also got to talk about the Bulls making the play-in yet again. Is that a good thing? We do have a honey in our chat. Over 200 in our chat. 180 on the YouTube side, man. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Let's get it up over 100 likes. 62 over on the Twitter side. Appreciate y'all for showing love. We're going to take a quick break, listening to a word from our sponsors, and then when we come back on the other side, we got to talk about this mock.
Appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching the show. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Aura. Have you ever done a Google search on your own name? You'd be surprised what pops up. Your full name, email address, home address, health records, your relatives. It's all out there. And that's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests just for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use that information to help them access my social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. It's really simple to set up. I don't have to download several apps or go to things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft, but you can get all of that in one place with Aura. I get everything at one affordable price as well. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like leaving the front door locked while leaving the back door and windows wide open. For you to be able to take advantage of Aura, we got a special deal for you here today. Stop data brokers from exposing your personal information. Go to my sponsor at https:/aura.com/the Windy City. Again, that is aura.com/the Windy City to get a 14-day free trial and see how much of your information is being sold.
Welcome back. Field Yates irritated me this morning with this mock draft.
The best show for Chicago sports.
But hey, man, people throwing mocks out all the time, man. Sometimes you just rock out with your mock out. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to show love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. What happened? Can't rock out with your mock out?
No, I don't know if this is breaking news or if this is news you already knew about, but Facebook is saying Val Kilmer passed away.
I did know that. That happened last night.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
While I was watching during the game. Yeah, a moment of silence for Val Kilmer. Thank you very much. One of the best Batmans out there, man.
Hey, real talk.
One of the best Batmans out there, man. Unstoppable. Yeah, I did see that last night. Rest in power to Val Kilmer. Keep catching villains in the sky or whatever, your role is. Tough to see a Val Kilmer go, man. Tough to see a Val Kilmer go. But this is always when it gets tough to me too, because they always say this happens in threes. And you're kind of like, I don't know about that. And then like two more people will go. Like I remember when Betty White went.
Yep.
I'm trying to remember who the two people went.
I'm not exactly sure, but yeah.
Oh, I do know. It was a dang it. He was a phenomenal African American actor. I can't think of it.
Sidney Poitier.
Sidney Poitier went right with. I think him and Betty White was at the same time.
Okay.
And then there was one more that was in it. It's always weird to me. It's like it happens in threes.
Yeah, that's a little
then
weird.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
But hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. As always, tough news there. But this mock draft also was Bob Saget in there too. I don't think Bob Saget was with Betty White, was he? I don't think Bob Saget was with Betty White. Maybe I'm wrong. There was three. Field Yates dropped his mock draft. It's a tough transitioner. And he's going a little bit of a different route. And I think these mock drafts are the ones that are the most interesting because this is fresh off of talking to coaches, talking to GMs, talking to owners down at the owners meeting. And I think these are the most interesting because to me, you kind of get post insight on, okay, who are you liking in this? Cam Ward is the number 1 overall pick, it seems. That is lock.
Obvious, yeah.
That's the lock there. Number 2, Field Yates going Abdul Carter to the Cleveland Browns, so he's not there for us at 4. No reason to trade up. Number 3, Shedeur Sanders to the New York Giants, which is gaining a ton of traction. And I would be intrigued by this because you've signed Russell Wilson, you've signed Jameis Winston, but are either of them the answer that you're looking for long term? But are you going to let Shedeur sit? You're going to take Shedeur 3 and let Shedeur sit?
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. That's the weird part for me. Number 4, Travis Hunter to the New England Patriots, which kind of a new route, but I guess you really didn't get a wide receiver weapon in there. He can be a wide receiver weapon. They have so few weapons that maybe he does get a opportunity to play both sides of the ball. I don't think that he's really going to be able to do that at an NFL level. But what I will say is, and I said this to Shay when we did the Chicago Bears podcast on Monday, I don't think that Travis Hunter is going to play 17 games wide receiver and at quarterback. But if there is a game where it's like, buddy, we got to get in, we need the best player on both sides, that's you.
Yep.
I think that could be an interesting dynamic. Or if there's a game where it's like, hey, our winning matchup this week is at wide receiver. That would be tough. That would be tough to just like take them off of one side and put them on the other. But I think for a few plays it would be interesting. Number 5 is Mason Graham to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that unfortunately, I think my stake bet is not going to go well for me.
Well, I don't know if mine will either.
Seeing a lot of steam picking up here. Number 6, Sebastian Genti to Boise State. Or to Boise State, to Las Vegas Raiders.
He's going back to college.
To Las Vegas Raiders. Number 7, Armand Mimbu to the New York Jets. Number 8, Jelani Walker, edge.
That's the name I keep seeing coming up in the. Yeah, I was going to say that the other Jelani Walker.
Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Number 9. The New Orleans Saints believe in those RAS scores as Shamar Stewart.
Whoa.
Number 9 to the Saints.
You can have him.
You ain't lying. And number 10, the Chicago Bears take Will Campbell.
Oh, my steak.
Yeah, you get your steak. First round, I'm not mad at. I don't know if it's going to happen because of the comments that we just got out of Ryan Poles the other day about the offensive tackle position. He doesn't seem like he hates Braxton Jones at all. He doesn't seem like he doesn't want to see Cronin Amagaji get an opportunity. In fact, the fact that he's limited, I think the Braxton Jones going to be limited at training camp. I think you're going to see more of Shamar Stewart. Of Cronin Amagaji in training camp to get more of an opportunity here. I don't know if they're going to go left tackle here, but I'm not mad at this pick if they do, right? What he says about the Bears here is I'm pretty bullish on Campbell as a prospect, despite concerns about his 32 and 5/8 arm length. He's got no elbows. What's going on with this guy? How are we ever going to put him out on the field? Look at that. They are stumpy. They're a little stumpy. But
I don't mind it.
And in this scenario, I'm not super focused on whether he would ultimately play tackle or slide inside to the guard. The Bears starting 5 is already much better on paper after a busy free agency, and Campbell could play wherever he's needed. New coach Ben Johnson would love a player like Campbell whose elite foot and quickness and pass protection ability fit great in his system. The Bears will likely feature plenty of zone rushing scheme in 2025. Good job. You're starting off well. Phil, love where we're starting here. So we continue to go down, though. This is where you piss me off, right? As we head here.
I love it.
As we head here to the second round. Well, you get your steak. But right. I don't think you're going to love this. As we get to the second round here, 39th pick, Bears still on the board.
Okay.
Tyler Booker off the board, 38 to the New York Giants. Good pick. Help protect Shedeur Sanders. Josh Simmons, 37 to the Kansas City Chiefs. Trey Amos, 36 to the Jaguars. They're going big on defense. Donovan Iziriku off the board, 35. Kenneth Grant off the board, 34. As to the Bills who trade up and get the pick with get New York's pick and the trade there. And Tyler Sau, QB out of Louisville. Yep, all that good stuff. Yep. With the 39th pick of the NFL draft, the Chicago Bears take Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State, wide receiver. Why, Field? Why?
I just got a stomach ache.
Why? Why? You were doing so well. As the Bears look for one more playmaker to maximize Ben Johnson's offense, they could turn to the ever-reliable Egbuka in round 2. He set Ohio State's record for catches, 205, and is a great route runner.
No.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
Nick Scorton's still on the board.
There you go.
Like those are the things, and I get it. There's a lot of pieces that came off of the board in Fields' mock draft that maybe the edge market is not there as strong there. But I'd rather go Xavier Watts.
At that point,
like
I take him over that.
Landon Jackson still on the board.
Landon Jackson still on the board.
Alfred Collins out of Texas still on the board. And I think those guys could go. I think those guys are later names in the draft, but like wide receiver there, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, we talked about and Ibuku, like he'd be a top tier type of wide receiver. It's not that his talent isn't there and he's not a good receiver out of Ohio State. That's not the thing. It's like where are you going to put him? At a certain point, it's like you're crowding your wide receiver room. We literally just got, our wide receiver 3 from Washington. Like we already have a stockpile of talent there at receiver. If anything, we were talking about getting old boy from Texas later on.
Bond.
Yeah, Isaiah Bond to maybe compete and be that developmental piece that you get. He has some talent, he has the speed. Then you kind of X out Tyler Scott, but getting Emeka Buka, no, that's not the way to go.
I just think to me it feels like one that is the Carolina pick. That would be a waste of that Carolina pick.
Yeah,
it would be a waste of that Carolina. Like not to say you lost the draft because you get Caleb and all that, but like that would be a waste of that Carolina pick. And two, with players like Mason Taylor still on the board. I mean, like we're acting like the Bears are set at every position comfortably.
Yeah.
The one position they actually are set at probably comfortably is still wide
receiver.
With Rome Odunze, with DJ Moore, bringing in Olamide Zaccheaus, getting Devin Duvernay in there. Like Mason Taylor's still on the board.
Yeah, there's no need to get a receiver. Take a tight end also. There's plenty of tight ends available.
That's Mason Taylor. That's what I'm saying. Mason Taylor's still on the board.
I don't know why I'm thinking Mason Graham.
You thinking Mason Graham, yeah. Then Jaden Higgins comes off the board out of Ohio State, who, in all honesty, I would rather have than Emeka Ogbugu, but all right. Well, it is what it is. 41, Bears back on the board. Now the Bears go Quinshon Judkins, running back out of Ohio State.
I mean, I'm not that mad at that.
Here's the thing, though. In that situation, now it doesn't make sense because you've gone multiple weapons versus yet again addressing the trenches. I think the Bears have done some great things this offseason, but I do not think you are at the point yet where you can just ignore the trenches. I do not think that you've done enough. There are people that are all in the comments every day. Oh, Pat, you're so focused on the trenches and they addressed it in the offseason. No. There's still a ton that can be done with how Dennis Allen runs his defense. It is a platoon style defense. You want to have those waves of defenders in there. You're going to swap guys in and out. I need edge rushers. I need defensive tackles. I need offensive linemen. Yes, I need linemen for the future, even so.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no way in the second round I'm going weapon with one piece and weapon with another piece. No, I'm going trenches in one of those. In this situation, especially with the running back market, what it is, at this point, wait to get Caleb Johnson. At this point, wait to get, Cam Scatterboo.
Is Omarion Hampton already? Well, I'm assuming he's already off the board.
I believe Omarion Hampton already off the board.
He had to have gone like early on. Yeah, you didn't mention him. I'm like, okay, he had to have gone early if that's the case. Because if he's still on the board, there's no way.
Omarion Hampton goes 20 to the Broncos in this situation.
Okay, I was about to say Judkins. Yeah, I take Judkins at 39 and address something else at 41. If you're talking about, and there are a lot of people saying Travion Henderson is better. I do agree that he's probably a better overall running back. He can give you more, better running pass running block.
I like Travion Henderson because he saws defensive linemen in half.
Yeah. This mock is a little crazy.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. Can't get with
I saw this one this morning, and I was like, this would be the worst case scenario, and it would let me know that Ryan Poles still is. I still have some questions on what Ryan Poles is looking at.
Well, I wouldn't even question just Ryan Poles. I question the whole team. Like, what are you all doing? I thought we moved past this idiocy. Like, what are we doing here? You still need to build up the.
Is this worse than the Matt Miller model?
Matt Miller one?
Is this
with
this
Xavier Watts and who was it?
Not gonna lie, bro. I'd rather have a safety.
I'd rather have, at least we're addressing defense. Yeah, I'd rather have the second one. I'd rather have the previous one. If we're talking about out of the two worst mocks we just mentioned, I'd rather have Xavier Watts, because now you're at least building up the depth behind a piece that might leave later, in Jaquan or even Kevin Byard.
Yeah,
I'm not with the wide receiver pick because there's no need for that. There's really no need.
Receiver pick just not there.
No, exactly.
I'm fine with taking Isaiah Bond in the third round. I'm not saying don't add to the wide receiver room, but it is not so much of a priority that you have to address it in the second round. And you feel, I don't think the Bears are to a point where they can feel comfortable yet. That's my big thing with all of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you shouldn't be doing the luxury picks in the at 39 and 41, which quite frankly I don't even think it's a luxury pick. I think that would be just a idiotic pick at this point. There's too much depth at receiver. You've completely overhauled that room, to the T. So I'm not with that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening there. Again, it's the mock your socks off season, so there's going to be a ton of stuff going on. Going, hey, yeah, rock out with your mock out. You know what I mean? But there's going to be a ton of stuff that's going to come out. There's going to be some weird situations, some bad situations, some oddities in some of these mock drafts. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I fully believe that some of these guys, when they're doing these mock drafts, because oftentimes they're so different. I fully believe they're like, well, what if I take him here? Now, how does that affect the rest of it? Just to make it interesting and to create these conversations. And I will say, I appreciate them for creating the conversation, because that's what gets us through the offseason. Let's keep this thing moving along. Let's finish it out here, Jordan JC, because Chicago Bulls clinch a play-in spot. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Drop a C-rate in the chat for the Bulls, man. Oh, yeah. Bulls do get in the play-in, and give them a little. There we go. Yeah, give them a little love out there. Is it a good thing?
It's a good thing because you're seeing the development of the pieces that are going to be important for the future, the present and the future. You see Kobe continuing to put up points as if he's figured something out, and now it's become second nature to him. Which usually when you get to the line a little bit more, I believe he's also shooting more free throws. I think that's also part of his game as well. 28 points, 6 rebounds, or 6 assists. You're seeing Josh Giddey, who came back to form, 17, 12, and 7. And then, of course, Matos Bazilis didn't have a great output yesterday, but had some good defense on some plays.
4 steals.
I want to see what it looks like when you're in a position where the pressure is a little bit more on you. I think this is good growth for that core, for those 3 that you're going to be moving forward with as your core. So I will say that there is a good reason why they should be in the play-in. It gives you some experience in, a playoff scenario, a playoff environment, going up against a team maybe like the Heat in that case. And so, yes, I'll say it's good. I never thought that we would be in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes by any chance. Does that mean we're out on getting a decent player? No, I still think that this team could be in the running for a really good player out of college. It just depends on where they're seated. But I think it's good that they've clinched a play-in.
I like that they're there, because this is the direction that AK has chosen, and you're not going to tank. And I'm not a believer in tanking. I do think that you when you get a star, you hit the ground quicker by not tanking.
Mm.
Right now, the Bulls, since the All-Star break, have a 571 win percentage. And to me, if you're able to maintain that heading in the next season, we're talking about a completely different team. Now, here's where I do think this gets tough. I don't believe that just getting smacked around does anything for you. I'm not a believer that going into the playoffs and getting 4-0 does anything for you. I do think this Bulls team can compete. I think they're a tough team. We will see them versus Cleveland here in a couple of days. And if you go into this thing and you compete and you show a ton of fight and you fight Cleveland tooth and nail and you lose in 5 or 6, but every single game is down to the wire, it's competitive, you're making them work for everything. I see the value in that. Because that essentially that's Derrick Rose first year.
Yeah.
Right? Like Derrick Rose, or not first year, second year. Derrick Rose second year, big series versus Boston. We're fighting them tooth and nail. Here we go. Oh my God. We're gonna take these mugs out. Gets into a game 7. Actually looks like he might win that mug. Boston turns into Boston. You lose the series.
Yeah. Well.
But that shaped D Rose mindset of, okay, this is the playoffs. This is what the playoffs is.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to see is what we haven't seen and what we didn't see the other day is Kobe White when you're going up against Isaac Okoro or when you're going up against DeAndre Hunter, Donovan Mitchell. Are you Kobe White then? Is Josh Giddey then? Is Modest Buzelis then? When you're playing the best of the best. And listen, it looked great versus the Lakers, but Bulls in that 12-9 stretch, a lot of their big wins versus teams they should have beat. Now, again, Bulls didn't beat people with Zach LaVine. So I do think that there is something to be taken away from these wins, but the wins the Bulls have here, you beat the Raptors, you beat the Lakers twice, you beat the Nuggets without Jokic. You beat the Kings, who, I mean, the Kings looked like the Bulls of old. You beat the Jazz, trash team. Fought hard versus the Rockets. You beat the Nets, should have beat them. You beat the Pacers without Halliburton, should have beat them. You beat the Heat. The Heat were terrible at that point. Now they won 5 straight. I don't know what this team is. You beat the Magic full strength, which was a good win.
Mm-hmm.
You got destroyed by the Cavs. You got destroyed by the Pacers with Halliburton out there. You beat the Raptors. Hard fought game with the Clippers. Lost. You destroyed the Sixers with nobody out there. You lost to the Suns. You lost to the Knicks. Hard fought game. That's the Bulls' wins and losses after the season. And there's a lot of, not to say fool's gold, because I do think getting wins in those games is important, but there is a lot of I can see a reason why the Bulls should have won this game and did. But when you play the tough competition, you more times than not end up on losing it. Versus teams above 500, I mean, the Bulls are what? 2, well, I guess Denver's, you beat them. 2, 3, it's not good. Hold on, let me see. Versus teams above 500, the Bulls are 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5. 1-5,
oh boy,
1-6, 2-6, 3-6. Bulls are 3-6 above teams above 500. Oh, I'm sorry, 3-7. They lost to the Thunder.
Okay. All right.
When it matters, can you get the job done? That's the big question that you got to ask with this with this Bulls team moving forward. Now that's what you'll see in the play-in. So,
well, I don't subscribe to tanking. I think tanking,
I'm not a believer.
It creates a loser's mentality. It creates an environment of settling and thinking that, oh, well, we have this plan in place of we're going to get better soon. And we've seen the different versions of what a rebuild or retool has looked like across the league. And sometimes it does not work. Most times it does not work. And it hasn't worked here with the Bulls. We keep trying to retool and make things look good and bringing a player here and bringing a player there. It doesn't look good. And so that's why I'm all for, hey, if you get to a point where you're winning and you get into playing, get some experience. Maybe you'll get thrashed. Maybe you don't. Maybe this is the moment where Kobe White becomes extremely consistent. Being a player of the month means you were consistent. That's never happened with him in his career. Doesn't happen with a lot of people on this Bulls team outside of, some of the bigger names throughout the years, the MJs, the Pippins, the Derrick Roses. So my thing is, yes, you look at this as a small win and build off of it. Hopefully you can get a few games in where you're surprisingly competing with the team that should probably blow you out, and then you build off that year after year.
Can we call OKC a tank? Because a lot of people throw that and be like, look at OKC, they tank. Can we call OKC a tank? Only reason I asked that is because they had 2 down years. They did have 2 down years. But you get Chet, who's been banged up. But your best player you traded for, your MVP you traded for in Shea.
Yeah.
He was with the Clippers and just not playing for some reason. I don't know how they didn't.
He had a lot of talent. Yeah.
I saw that. I think Shea played like 20 minutes versus the Bulls one game. I was like, this dude is like one of the better players on the team.
Yeah.
You had Shea, you had Lou Dort through both of the losing years. Like your main pieces on the team, you had on your team already. And then you end up getting Chet, which, I mean, you sucked, but you end up drafted well. But I feel like the Thunder is more development than it is tank.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. And that's why you need every bit of a rebuild to work or a retooling to work. Is you need the pieces to get better, but you also need the staff behind it to develop those pieces. You need the pieces to, commit to getting themselves better in the offseason. Like all of those things need to mesh together. And for some odd reason, the Bulls have never had all of those things mesh together. And it seems like maybe they're turning the corner on that because Billy seems to have a better connection with a younger team. Yeah. They're playing faster. As I told you, the pace also matters. You have a point guard in Giddey who can kind of do it all. I think he's really a big piece of the reason why this thing is looking different. And, of course, Kobe is being consistent. As I said, he's kind of fitting into that role of being the go-to guy, being the scorer that we need. And so when you build off of that, you might be able to get over the hump, as we haven't done in so many years.
Sorry City said they tanked like Boston did before getting Tatum and Brown. Those teams just drafted and traded well.
Yeah.
That's not a tank, though. That's not a tank is like we're going to gut our team and lose. That's not a tank.
Yeah.
Literally, Boston got all of their pieces with Brooklyn's picks. Tatum is a Brooklyn pick. Brown is a Brooklyn pick. I don't even know. Is there a piece that they drafted with their pick? I mean, there's some solid pieces. There's some role player pieces. But there's not really a piece that they drafted where that's a star with their pick. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I wouldn't call Boston a tank either. Like, I think Boston drafted well and Boston traded phenomenally.
Yeah, they did what they need to do. Yep,
bro. They just paid off Brooklyn just paid off the last pick like last year.
That's insane.
From the Kevin Garnett and Paul.
From the KKG, yeah, from that era. That's insane.
Yeah, they just paid off that last pick that year.
Jesus.
Oh, but hey. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We got to get up out of here, man. We'll be back on later. Appreciate y'all as always for rocking with us. For Mr. Media,
yes,
Jordan JC. It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Better. Well up. Peace.
Oh boy.
We got to define tank.
What it means, huh, to you? Yeah.
We got to define tank. I think some people don't know what a tank is. I get the bottoming out part, but a tank is like, we're going to make sure there's no talent on this team. And
you're just completely overhauling the roster.
Actually, I think the Celtics made the playoffs the year they drafted Jason Tatum.
I think our team made the playoffs that year.